Hello, and welcome to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway podcast. That's right. Your host and tour guide is Scott Prevett, a healer, hypnotist, and a magician. And your bus driver is Jason Gobelli, also a hypnotist, an entrepreneur, and a spiritual guide. Disclaimer, neither Jason, Scott, or any of our guests here today are licensed professional psychologists or psychiatrists. So please don't make any changes to any medication or treatments that you are currently on based on the conversation that you hear here today. Just hop on the bus and enjoy the ride. Trip with us on the Inner Revelation bus. That's right.
Hi, I'm Jason, and welcome back to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psychic Highway. We are excited today, aren't we, Scott?
Heck yeah. It's a special day today.
That's right. Today, we get two for the price of one. It's the first time we're interviewing two guests at the same time, and we're pretty excited. We have Linda Smith and Rich Smelke. How are you guys?
Great, wonderful.
Awesome, awesome. So let's get this party rolling and let's start right away. Who are you and what do you do?
Well, we are a husband and wife team of entrepreneurs, authors, and speakers and coaches. And we work with people who kind of look like us, who are at that stage of life where they're wondering, now what? Now what do I do with the rest of my life? I'm still active. I may have been retired, but I don't know how I'm going to spend my life. And the thought of doing it on the golf course or the tennis court or the pickleball court is not exciting.
So here's a good question for you. Linda, Rich, now what?
Well, you'd be surprised. Right now, and I mean, this amazing woman I'm married to is in the middle of launching a brand new book, which I am just thrilled to sit and watch her create, and she'll tell you more about that. We're doing a lot of good things in the world. I'm involved in my church. I'm the coordinator for the outreach ministry. So we're looking for opportunities to lift others up, to help others. And right now, of course, we're focusing on how ways we can help others in the aftermath of Helene, because we live here in South Carolina, the northwest corner, which is very close to North Carolina. So we're looking for opportunities to do that. So we're always looking for ways to really help others, lift others up, because we've been very, very blessed in our lives, and we want to share that.
Well, we certainly hope you weren't affected by, the
Not too bad.
Not personally, but our city was really devastated. Lots and lots of trees and lines and, a lot of inconveniences everywhere. We still can't get to church the normal way. We have to go roundabout because there's still a bridge out. So bridges but we were very lucky. We only lost power for one day, but there were some people in our city that were without power for like 10, 12 days. And as far as being without internet, we were without internet for about 12 days, and there are still people without internet.
So how long have you two been together? And when did it appear that you had this mission that you had to go on in order to help others in their older years?
Well, we met only 8 years ago. Now, my background is that I was an international speaker and I lived in Colorado where my base was, but I taught all over the world. I had 20 teachers teaching in my institute, and I was approaching my 70th birthday, and I said, I don't think I have another book in me. I thought, I don't think I have anything else to give to this work. And so I just felt the call to move on in life, that there was something else waiting for me. And so I literally gave away my institute to one of my teachers, and I said, move it to the next level. And I sold my home in Colorado, and I just wanted to move someplace warm. So I moved to Florida through a process of elimination. And after about 3 months, I looked around and I thought, I'm not a beach person. What the heck am I doing in Florida? And that's when I, through synchronicity, discovered the work of Mary Morrissey, who is a transformational leader. And I got into one of her coaching programs. And the first thing I visioned was, gee, I wonder what it would be like to find the love of my life. That's something I never had time for. And he was my fourth date.
Nice.
I had retired in 2002. I had a 30-year career at a large aerospace company. I was in quality assurance. Moved to Florida, and I went down there to play golf and just enjoy the sunshine. And I was married to an amazing woman. We were together for 43 years and married for 40. And in 2015, she unexpectedly died, and it turned my life upside down for a while. And I had a tough year. But
Mhm.
through divine order and a higher power, I was led to the realization that it was time and okay to move on. And through a series of events, I realized that I was lonesome at a depth I had not experienced in all my life. Wanted a companion and found this dating agency, and Linda was my third date. And after just realizing we had a lot in common and starting to date and
Mhm.
having some bumps in the road when she thought I wanted to get married right away, and it scared the heck out of her. And we got through that and started dating. We realized that we had a lot in common. Ended up getting married, and I got into the work first of coaching others and wanting really to help others. I've always wanted to do that, but wasn't able to financially because of circumstances. And I found a way to do it through coaching. Um, and then Linda got involved, and then we got involved in a church that we now belong to. And it's just evolved kind of organically, where, in our late 70s now, we realize that we have been so blessed over our lives that, we have so much stuff that we've gained through wisdom and everything, that it would be a shame to take that and not share that, take it to our deathbed and not share it. So that's what we're trying to do now.
Mhm.
Any way we can, and just to share what we've learned over all these years,
Awesome. So now, Linda, so what was this organization that you cut loose?
It was the Institute of Spiritual Healing and Aromatherapy. I taught energy healing and aromatherapy. I taught this for almost 30 years. I started out as well, actually, my background is I'm a holistic nurse. And I was a director of a hospice when I discovered the work of healing touch. And that is an energy healing certification program. And I was invited to become the first administrator for the Healing Touch program. And I did that for about 5 years until so many people were asking me in my classes, how do you talk about this kind of stuff to the minister? Or how does this stuff fit with my faith? And at first I would answer, and then I realized every weekend somebody was asking me those questions. And I finally said, what are you asking me for? And they said, oh, because you're more spiritual than the other teachers. And we want to hear how we can relate this. And I went, oh, oh, you can't just put your own stuff in somebody else's program. And then it dawned on me, oh, yeah, you bring your whole background to this as a teacher. And part of my background that I have not mentioned is the fact that I had been a Catholic nun for 27 years and had left that work and moved on in life. But when you leave the convent in your 40s, you leave with nothing in your pocket, zero, nada, nothing. And so my focus was to survive financially. And so that's when it was about 6 months after I left is when I discovered Healing Touch. And I, began doing that work. And eventually I started my own program called Healing Touch Spiritual Ministry, which is taking energy healing and reframing the language more biblically, not religion, but biblically, so that people will go, oh, this is really what we're called to do.
Mhm.
And so I did a lot of research so I could walk into a Presbyterian church and I could talk about their history. I could talk to an Anglican church and I talk about their history. I could talk to Roman Catholic, talk about their history, and I could talk about Methodist. I learned to speak a lot of languages and tell them their history of healing and how they lost sight of it, and they would be amazed. And I would have so many ministers come up to me and thank me for helping them to reclaim healing in the church. And so that was my work. Somebody challenged me at one point and said, well, you're not doing enough in your work. And I went, what do you mean? I've written a book. I've done all these classes. And I'm not doing enough. And they said, you'd also be anointing. And I went, oh, for God's sake. I said, what does olive oil have to do with healing? And that was my ignorance. And so I eventually started researching. And do you know that there are 35 plants name by name in the Bible? And most of those were oils. And they were, people that was their medicine chest. So everybody in a village would know who would have a little frankincense, who would have a little cedar wood, who would have a little of this or that. And they used that was their healing because they didn't have doctors. And
Interesting.
so the more I researched this, it's like, oh my gosh, this is a treasure trove. This was what made the early Christian church so successful. It was the fact they were known as a healing community. And so to me, that was the missing piece. So my whole program was based on a laying on of hands, prayer, which is intention, and anointing with healing oils. So that led me to create a second certification program in aromatherapy. And I taught this work 5 years in Italy for a pontifical institute. I taught this work in Australia, in all the major cities, for over 8 years. I've taught in just about every state in the Union and a number of Canadian provinces. And I've seen the world teaching this work.
Well, this is an interesting marriage in more than one way because very traditionally you see those at ends, but it's nice how it's all brought together.
Mhm.
And in a society of, how do we say, polarity that we have today,
Yes.
isn't it nice to bring things together? And how does that union feel with a minister and a spiritual healer together in the same room?
It has been an interesting relationship. I learned early on the breadth of this woman's knowledge, and I mean, I would just sit there for hours and listen to her and poke at her with questions, and because I come from a Roman Catholic background, very strict. Come to find out, she had been a nun and left, and so I was very interested in what her mindset was and the psychology behind all that, and she was very open about sharing that with me. So it really helped me understand. And, quite honestly, I had walked away from my faith for a lot of different reasons, mostly political. And then when my wife died, I definitely shut the door. I was terribly angry because she didn't deserve the pain she suffered at the end and everything. But then being with Linda and being introduced to a different thought process through our coaching practice, the new thought ways and then learning that I can be spiritual. I don't have to be religious. I can believe in God and be spiritual. That opened up a whole new way of thinking. And when I found a church that was inclusive,
Mhm.
that accepted everybody as they are, which just landed on my heart, that was my journey to begin back to my spiritual base. And I just want to share briefly, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer earlier this year. And the teachings that I've gained through my coaching, the teachings that I've gained through now understanding the scriptures through a different perspective, understanding the power of intention and prayer, it got me through that on a very high vibrational frequency. So that when Lynn and I left the office the day we were diagnosed, we both walked out of there saying, I don't have cancer. My body had a cancer, because the spiritual me can't ever have a disease. And that really helped me, through the 28 radiation treatments that I have, and the shots I get to help that, just stay at that positive level. And people have come up to me and just, I shared a testimony at church, primarily to thank everybody for their prayers and their support, because it really carried me through that period. And people have come up to me and just thank me for letting them see it evident. You hear the principles, you hear about the theory, but they say when somebody stands up there in their truth and says, this is me, this is how it is, it landed differently for some people. And they really thank me for that. So it is an amazing journey that we're on. And it's not over. We're not done by a long shot.
So here's a two-part question, one for each of you, because you each have different paths. So whoever goes first can go first. But the question is, when did you first have that aha moment, that, oh, I'm going to be able to help people and I'm going to be able to change lives? How did that come about?
Well, for me, it was, when I was 18. When I left my family of origin and entered the convent, it was because I knew that I was being called to do something with my life. And then when I was in my 40s and I left knowing that I was being called to something greater, only I didn't have a freaking idea what it might be. And then when I was 70, and I knew that there was something else I was supposed to create in this world, only I didn't know what it was. And for me, it was the courage to follow that instinct, even though didn't make any sense. And it was jumping out into the total unknown of what might happen.
Right.
Yeah.
For
Rich?
me, it was actually after I met Linda. I mean, I had been doing things to help teach others new information. I was involved in Florida. I lived there. I was an instructor, a certified instructor through FEMA, to help citizens prepare for disasters and respond afterwards, and how to, all that stuff. And so that was a great thing I was doing. But when I went and heard that the way I had been brought up, the thought process I had gotten to be 70 with weren't necessarily the thought processes that were going to serve me going forward. I realized that this is information that I can take to others. It's going to make a difference, a true difference in their lives. And when I started working with people and seeing the impact that it has, and then when I got strong spiritually and realized that I can help others just by being me and sharing my story with others. That's when it really, for me, it's been in the last 7 years that it's really hit home that I can have an impact. Maybe impacts that I never even see, but I know that I can have an impact and make a difference in the world. And that's what keeps me going every day, is that I can make a difference at some level.
Now, here we got another two-part question. Who were your mentors? Who's been there in your life that's guided you and helped you on the path that you're on today?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, for me, it's probably one of the very first ones is when I was way back early in my career. I was an hourly employee, and I was involved in the union at the time. I was a shop steward, and then I was vice president of the local. And I had a supervisor come up to me and say, people are starting to notice you, the way you handle yourself in the grievance procedure, the professionalism. He said, if you got a little more education, that you could go places in this company. That was my first person who really gave me an inkling that I could be something different than I had been led to believe up until that point. And then the next person who I met in my life who probably really had a huge impact was Mary Morrissey. When I first heard this woman tell me that no one had the right to tell me that I had to stay within the lines, that I couldn't ask the question, what if, that I couldn't dream, that just opened up a whole new world to me. And she has been a true mentor, and now she's a friend, a personal friend through all these years. And that has really, her teachings, along with others, and some of the books that she's introduced us to, Wallace Wattles and Napoleon Hill and the whole plethora of people who think differently, has really got me charged and realized that, the mindset that I grew up with, that when you hit 65, you got a gold watch, you sat in a rocking chair waiting to die, is not what retirement in life is all about. Yeah. So those two people, then I'm sure there's others, but those are the two that really come to mind that really made a big pivot in my life.
Well, for me, there have been mentors all along, and but they kind of come and go as your life shifts and changes. But I would have to say there's three that really stand out for me. One was Janet Menken, who was the founder of Healing Touch, who saw in me something that I didn't see in myself. And that is that there is a healer within me. And then there was my introduction to Gary Young, who was the founder of Young Living Essential Oils. He saved my life more than once. And we became very good friends up until when he passed. And then it was Mary Morrissey. And I actually found her by accident. This is when I was in Florida, and I'd only been there about 3 months, and I was deeply depressed over what had I done to myself by moving to Florida where I didn't know a soul. And I was feeling really down, and I was sitting at my computer, and I'd get hundreds of emails every day, and I'd go down the line and I would go delete, 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 delete. I never even opened them. But for some reason, I clicked on this one, and if it was some guy in Canada who I didn't know, I don't know how I got on his list, but he was going to be interviewing a transformational leader by the name of Mary Morrissey. And I didn't know who she was from Adam. But the thought of transformation, yeah, I need some transformation right now. And I thought, I'll give it 3 minutes. I listened to the whole thing, at the end of which she offered a free $1,200 ticket to anybody who stayed all the way to the end to come to her 3-day Dreambuilder program in Dallas, Texas. And I thought, got my name on it. And I went, and at the end of which I knew she was my next teacher. And I signed up for her top coaching program because I thought I really needed help. And my first vision was visioning to find the love of my life. And you know what I discovered was there's a lot of people my age who get into these programs, and they also have the vision of finding the love of their life. But then they don't do anything about it. They I wish, but they don't get up off their butt and actually do something about it. And I don't go to bars, and I didn't know anybody in Florida to introduce me to anybody. But when this opportunity flipped up once on Facebook, that was for Sarasota singles, I thought, that's a step I can take. And let's just say that the first 3 dates I went on were the dates from hell. And I thought, boy, have I blown all that money, because this was a vetted group. And then he waltzed into my life, and the rest is history. So Mary Morrissey has been a dear, dear, not only mentor, but good friend. I can't hear you, Jason.
Scott, it's your turn. You're up, brother.
So you guys working together and you help people reinvent themselves. Tell us a few of the things that you do to help people reinvent themselves.
Well, right now we are working on our TEDx talk. We've been accepted to do one in at University of the Pacific in Stockton, California, and that's going to be next April. So that's one thing that we're doing. I do lots and lots of Zoom calls, webinars. Usually it's about some aspect of aromatherapy. We're doing that. And it's, what I find is an outreach to all the people that I've met all through my journey. And one of the things that being in some of these, and the other thing that we are doing is we're in a lot of different educational programs as students.
Okay.
And we're in Thought Leader, which helps us to be speakers on stages, as well as helped us to land the TEDx talk. We're in a program of John Asseroff, which is all about your personal growth and development as a spiritual person. We're in a program called Icon Maker, which is helping us to become the entrepreneurs that we desire. And I'm in publishing.com program because even though I've written almost 40 books in my life, hardly any of them made money. And so I thought, well, how about I get into a program that teaches me how to write the right way, because I never knew that you had to have reviews in order to sell books. Because I always had a ready-made audience waiting for anything I wrote. And so I've written my first book, and it's it will come out actually on November 18th, and it's called Somatic Therapy Simplified. Now, what is somatic therapy? It's mind-body stuff. It's mind-body connection and helping you to deal with stress and trauma in your life. And so here I am with all this background of energy healing and aromatherapy and coaching. And so it's like I was able to write about all the things that are dear to me, as well as where I have expertise. And so I'm really excited about this book coming out and people actually getting to see it.
Another way too, we is we're used as an example. Mary Morrissey uses us many times in her teachings as an example for others to just through who we are, the way we live our lives, the way we practice the principles, the way we give of ourselves to others, and so yes, I mean it's the coaching right now. I haven't had a client in a while, but that's okay. I still put out information. I'm on TikTok. And so I try and put out at least one video a day or some principle that means something to me that maybe you can help someone else, take a new path, take a new step, look in a different direction, think a new way. So we're always looking at ways just to put information out there to help others, and through our church too, we're doing stuff there to just to share, to give.
Mhm.
So
Right.
Nice, wonderful. So this is a big question. How do our viewers get a hold of you?
Ah, well, we have a website. It's www.transformationalwellnessservices.com. All one word, transformationalwellnessservices.com. And talk about, primarily about our coaching programs, but it's also a way of, let us help you, vision what's next in your life. And so that is available. I'm also on TikTok. I have managed to get well over 1,000 followers at this point. And it's amazing. I've had a number of people take me up on my offer of a free strategy call. And what they're looking for is, I don't know what to do with my life. And so I'm 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 seen as the grandmother with wisdom.
Nice. Okay, so since you're the grandmother with wisdom, I got a question. It's another two-part question because you each have to answer this one. What are your words of wisdom for our viewers?
to me, and I can only speak to the way I live my life, is that I try to, number one, start every day with gratitude.
Mhm.
Before I get out of bed, I thank my creator for waking me today and providing me whatever opportunities that come my way to be a beacon of light and love in the world, to be the best person I can be. I end my day with gratitude every night. I keep a journal next to my bed. I come up with 5 things that I'm grateful for the day. I'm open to whatever message comes to me. We call it our still small voice. That's what led me to this woman here. That led me to understand that it was okay to move on. If I hadn't listened to that voice, I don't know where I'd be today. So it's the same voice that led me to become a coach, that pulled at me and said, you could take this information and share this with other people and make a difference in their lives. So it's just to be open, to live your life in a state of gratitude and being positive. Things happen. Of course, things happen, but I try to stay the fact that, okay, it happens over there and I'll give attention to it, but I don't have to go build a camp over there. It's like when I was diagnosed, I if I didn't give up every 5 days a week to go down and get my radiation treatments, I wasn't paying any attention to the fact that I had been diagnosed with cancer. Just that was the only reminder, really, and some of the side effects, but anyway. But no, that's just living in gratitude, being thankful for everything you have.
Mhm.
Do we have aspirations? Of course. Would we like to have more money and travel more? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what will fulfill us. But I still look around and I am just so grateful for everything that I've already been blessed with.
Nice.
I think my words of wisdom are just the knowledge that we are all spiritual beings who happen to be having this physical experience. And this physical experience in this life that we're in has its ups and has its downs, but it's all in divine order. Just like today is the day that our country will decide to go this way or to go this way. And a lot of people are in fear as to whether or not we will lose our democracy. So I look at this, and the only thing that quiets down my fears is to remember is that it's all in divine order.
Wonderful. Scott, do you have anything to add?
We both would really like to thank you guys for coming out and spending your time with us and taking time out of your schedule and coming here and sharing with us what you do and how you help people. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been a pleasure. It's been my first time being on a podcast. And you guys are great. You're phenomenal. I'm going to make sure that I go in my podcast settings now, and I'm going to follow a lot more of you. I like what you're doing here, and I want to know more about you and learn and follow you guys. So I'm definitely going to go do that and look for the Hypno Travelers, right? So
That's all right. That's us.
All right.
all right, guys.
Linda, do you have anything you want to share to finish it up? Any last words?
Any last words? Oh, wow. I always love the last word, but
Yeah.
I think that the two of us are a testament to finding love even in your evening years. And if that is your desire, then don't just sit and wish. Get up and do something.
Nice. Wonderful. Well, Rich, Linda, it's been a pleasure having you guys on the show. It's been wonderful traveling down your magical psyche highway. We're so grateful that you're here. And for our viewers, we're glad you're here too. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you like us, give us a thumbs up, share us all around, and follow us. If you don't like us, give us a thumbs down. We really don't care. If you think we suck, that's okay. Just spread the word, and we hope to see you next week. Thanks for coming.
Wow, what a trip. Thanks for taking that journey with us today. Please like us, share us, and enlighten us with your views of the topics we drove into today. We appreciate you and love reading your comments. Thanks again, and we hope to see you back on the bus next week. That's right.